Good evening, everyone. Welcome to those that are here in person and to those that are here online. My name is Jared Garcia. I'm recently appointed as the executive director here at Utah Department of Corrections, replacing Brian Redd. You're gonna have to forgive me. I didn't know I was speaking tonight, so I'm just gonna wing this. But I've been with the Department of Corrections for almost 18 months now. I was serving as the deputy executive director, and then prior to that, I have total of almost 23 years of law enforcement experience. The majority of that was with the Utah Department of Public Safety, with the Utah Highway Patrol, and actually the majority at the State Bureau of Investigation. And then I was a police chief in the city of Moab after they faced some national challenges. And then Brian Redd actually called me and asked me to join him here. So very happy to be here. I really didn't know a ton about corrections until I got here. And I just have to say what an amazing opportunity is to work with all of you, families, advocacy groups, and our amazing staff that does this incredible work every single day. We truly do have the best in the business that care about your loved ones. They care about their successful transition back to their communities, and we're continuing to find ways to improve that every single day. You've probably heard our mission, our vision, and our values, which was actually created by our staff, but our vision statement is we envision a safer Utah by providing opportunities for people to improve. And I really think that events like this evening are exactly that. In order for us to provide those opportunities, we need to collaborate with all of you. We need to hear the great things that are happening. We also need to hear the challenges that all of you are experiencing so we can find meaningful solutions to those challenges. And I just want all of you to know that we are very, very committed to finding those solutions for you and your loved ones. Our mission is simple. It's working together, transforming lives, and protecting communities. And I actually just barely, not even half an hour ago, sent out a message to your loved ones that'll go out on their tablets explaining that I really don't anticipate many changes. I've worked side by side with Brian Redd for nearly 2 decades. We've worked together for almost the entire time he was here, and we don't really anticipate a ton of changes as far as the momentum we have, but we do and will always seek improvement. And again, it's just great to have all of you here working with us, working together as we transform lives. And when I say protecting communities, it's not just our communities out here, it's the communities within our facilities. We want to make sure that we create safe spaces for your loved ones to access services, education, programming, and support overall. So just thank you again for being here. And then we have our values that we've created, and they spell the word SPARK, the acronym, and those stand for service, professionalism, accountability, respect, and knowledge. And those are very important to us. We hold them near and dear to our heart because that's what we expect each employee that works at the Utah Department of Corrections to do, to exemplify those values, to demonstrate those values as we provide service to your loved ones that are here with us. I just want to again thank staff and everybody that's here that's to provide support. Again, we really do want to create environments that are safe. We do want to. Sometimes we hear bad things, and that's okay. The things that aren't going well. In order for us to improve, we really do need to hear from you. So we are open to criticism that you have, and I want you to know that we are very committed to listening to all of you and finding those solutions. I'll turn the time over to the lieutenant here, but I'll be around. So if you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to come and approach me, and we'll see what we can do to help you. Thanks again.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm Lieutenant Brendy Warrett. I'm with the Reentry and Rehabilitation Division. I just want to make sure everybody knows we're really grateful that you're here. We want to support you and be a resource for you guys in this tough time in your lives. We know it's a struggle for both you and your loved ones, and so we want to be a resource for you. So please connect with us. If you haven't picked up a resource contact list at the back of the room, please do. Feel free to reach out to us anytime if you have questions or concerns, because we'd love to hear from you, and we want to work with you guys during your incarcerated loved one's stay. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. We want your loved ones to be successful, so we want to help them as much as we can while they're incarcerated so that they can get out and be crime-free and live successful, happy lives with you all. So thanks for being here. We're going to be presenting information on the Board of Pardons and Parole, mail and property, accounting, phones, medical, visiting, and reentry and rehabilitation. Reentry and rehabilitation has a few different things that we do: case management and religious services, volunteer religious services. So we have the table set up around the room for people to go ask questions. So I ask that you please Don't ask questions during the presentation. We'll make it through the material. If you have questions, I have paper and pens in the back if you want to write down your questions, or write them on your phone, however you want to do that. And then at the end, you can go to each table that you need to discuss with, and that way you can have an individual question and answer session. A lot of times people have questions specifically regarding their loved one, so that's a more appropriate way instead of in front of the whole group. So please just hold your questions till the end. The contact information is back there. We also have, so it's UDC contact information as well as UPAN. UPAN's over here. If you guys haven't connected with them, they're a great resource, so please connect with them. The Board of Pardons is going to be presenting first, and then they'll step out into the foyer. So they typically get a ton of questions, so we're going to have them just get through their presentation, and then if you have specific questions about your loved one, please step out into the foyer, and the Board of Pardons will answer the questions for you. And before we get started, I'm going to ask Molly Prince to come up. She has something that she'd like to present to one of our employees here. So welcome, Molly.
Perfect. Excuse me. I'm Molly Prince, one of the co-founders of Utah Prisoner Advocate Network. This is Ann Bradshaw and Shane Severson, part of our directors. Oh, I'm sorry. And we have a special presentation tonight. So we would like to ask Ski to come join us. Well, while he's coming up, Ski is the Stakeholder Experience Coordinator for the Utah Department of Corrections. He just celebrated his first year in February. And so, okay, I didn't even practice how to do this. I'm going to read about Ski. So Ski, it's with immense gratitude and admiration that Utah Prisoner Advocate Network presents you with our first annual Dream Maker of 2024 award. As you marked your one-year anniversary with Utah Department of Corrections this past February, we wish to formally recognize the extraordinary impact you've made in such a short time. Come stand by me. I have to read this because it's very long. Your
You
role,
don't really have to.
I do, because they need to know who you are, because you guys are going to be contacting maybe once in a while. You never know. Stakeholders, we're all stakeholders, you guys. This is really important. Your role as Stakeholder Experience Coordinator, you've truly embodied the spirit of your position, not just coordinating stakeholder experiences, but transforming them. Your tireless dedication to building bridges between the Department of Corrections and the community, including advocate groups. Sorry, I lost it. It's made a profound difference to all of us, incarcerated people, families, and people in the community. Your accomplishments speak for themselves, and they speak volumes for your character. You implemented Utah's first ever UDC Citizens Academy, creating unprecedented opportunities for advocates and citizens to understand correctional operations. There will be another one this coming fall, and registration is open now on the UDC website. You established and supported the Incarcerated Individual Advisory Committee for both men and women's units, ensuring their voices are heard, and you support them every month with your meetings, probably more than every month. You coordinated numerous facility tours, and you helped demystify the UDC operations for family members and for community stakeholders. You led stakeholder meetings every single month with remarkable skill, ensuring productive dialogue between various interest groups and UDC administration, which is not always an easy job because sometimes we get a little emotional and we try to tone it down. But he's really...
A little.
I get a lot emotional sometimes. I cry sometimes. Let's see. You consistently demonstrated exceptional responsiveness and commitment to addressing stakeholder concerns. You worked way beyond regular hours, often late into the evenings and on the weekend, to include stakeholder inclusion and participation. What truly distinguishes your service, however, is not just what you've done, but how you've done it. You genuinely care for people, and you have a remarkable gift of remembering names and making personal connections. Dion wanted to Make sure you knew that. Your ability to bring diverse groups together have created an atmosphere of trust and collaboration where there was once distance and misunderstanding. You consistently live up to your personal motto, teamwork makes the dream work, which you share at every meeting and even in your email signature. And UPenn has witnessed firsthand how you've created a truly synergistic relationship between UDC and stakeholders, putting this philosophy into action. You understand the importance of leadership that empowers contributions and participation, and you value all positive, constructive input. Your work exemplifies the very best of public service and represents what is possible when dedicated individuals commit to positive change. You have been instrumental in advancing reform initiatives and fostering understanding between UDC and its stakeholders. So for all of these reasons, we are really proud to present you with your UPenn Certificate of Appreciation. And it says, for outstanding dedication as stakeholder experience coordinator, building bridges between the Utah Department of Corrections and the community, and exemplifying this motto, teamwork makes the dream work, through actions that transform lives and systems. And I just want to say, everybody in this administration has been so supportive and helpful this last 21 months, I guess it's been. And so we appreciate all of you, but ski has connected us all. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think, did I
Thanks,
give
Sam.
you? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Okay, we're ready to get started. Board Pardons, you want to join us?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Yim. I am the director of the Board of Pardons and Parole. And before you wonder whether I'm going to be making decisions about your loved ones, I am not. The people that you see here tonight with me, we run the administrative part of the Board of Pardons and Parole. We're here to answer your questions, to tell you about the process. But I just wanted to take just a few minutes before I turn the substance of our presentation over to our wonderful staff to let you know that we care very much about the quality of our work, about what we do, and that we can facilitate the communication throughout the process. We're very grateful to the Department of Corrections for all of the work that they've done to collaborate with us so that we don't lose people in the cracks, that we make sure that we know what's going on with people and make informed decisions based on research and data, and that we communicate those clearly and you have an understanding of where your loved one is in the process all the time. Of course, we can't guarantee you that you will like the decisions that are made about the people that you love and care about. But what I want to assure you is that we care very much about doing good work and careful work and making decisions in a timely and respectful manner. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Brett Varos and Amanda Robinson, and they will give you the presentation. We will be in the back afterwards to answer your questions. So thanks for being here.
Hello, everyone. As Jennifer said, my name is Brett Varos. I am the Chief Hearing Officer at the Board of Pardons and Parole. Prior to my time at the board, I did work for corrections for 21 years, retired from there in 2009, came to the board in 2011, and I've been there in various roles. I feel like I have a really good understanding of the whole operation, and one of my greatest commitments is, as Jennifer said, is communicating with people. making sure that if you make a phone call to the board, that we are going to answer. And again, as Jennifer said, we may not be able to give you the answer that you're looking for, but we're going to treat you with dignity and respect. And I would ask of you, as we maybe talk after, if that doesn't happen when you contact the board, you're welcome to contact me at any time. Okay. I'm going to let Amanda introduce herself, and then I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to kind of tag team this, and I'm going to struggle standing in front of this thing. I'm going to tend to want to wander, but somebody point me in the right direction if I do.
I got you, Brett. I got you. I'll keep you grounded there. So like Brett said, my name is Amanda Robinson. I also started in corrections, and I have been 18, I've had 18 years in, but I've been at the Board of Pardons for the last 13 of those years. And I share the same passion as these guys with being able to give you guys answers with your loved ones, making sure that people understand the process, because I think we can all agree it's a confusing process. So being able to help people understand is something I'm very passionate about, and I know my agency is as well. So I'm looking forward to questions, and hopefully we can help you guys understand a little bit more about where your loved one's at in the process.
Thanks, Amanda. As we've been talking, our mission statement is up there. I did realize I didn't bring my glasses, so I may not be able to read it without turning around, but it's there. I'm going to move right to the second slide, if you will. Really, what is the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole? That's a question I think is probably on all of your minds. And the board is established by the Utah Constitution, and our primary function is, as Jennifer said, to make parole, release decisions, clemency, pardons for individuals that are in the Utah Department of Corrections custody. Okay, there are 5 full-time board members and up to 5 part-time board members. They are appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate, and they're appointed to 5-year terms. We have probably the majority of the hearings that the board conducts on your loved ones are conducted by hearing officers. We have 10 to 11, I believe. I occasionally sometimes will pitch in, and again, they do a variety of different hearings. The board members and pro tems also conduct hearings, but the vast majority of them are done by our hearing officers. If a hearing officer conducts your loved one's hearing, we don't make a decision, but we compile the information, we take the testimony, we complete the report, and then we submit that to the board and we make a recommendation. And then ultimately it's the board members who vote and make that final decision, okay? Board decisions are final. That's a pretty common question we get is, if someone doesn't care for that decision, they may write us a letter, or you may call and say, well, I want to appeal that. There really is not an appeal, a formal appeal, other than, as it says, there can be court review if there were due process issues, and that's to that 65B motion, I think is what it is. So that's an important thing to remember, because again, it's a common question that comes up. I think I answered that several times this week on some phone calls that I took this week. So part of the reason why we're here is the Department of Corrections and the board work very closely together, but it's important to remember we are 2 different agencies. I believe we are probably the closest working agencies in state government, but it's clear to know what the roles are. And again, the board makes release decisions. The board can revoke parole when a loved one has not complied with the conditions of parole, and the board, when they're making those release decisions, then sets those conditions that the individuals have to comply with or expected to comply with on parole. What the Department of Corrections does, obviously, is they determine housing, where the individual's housed, whether it's in one of the facilities or a county jail. Again, a common question we may get is, my loved one is here, we want them here. The board doesn't determine that. The Department of Corrections does. Department of Corrections provides treatment. The board may order treatment or set expectations for your loved ones to complete. The Department of Corrections determines and gets them in those programs and provides that treatment. And ultimately, when the individuals are released from prison, the Department of Corrections and Adult Probation and Parole staff provide the supervision of those individuals in the community. Okay. The board's role in sentencing. You're probably aware, hopefully, Utah's an indeterminate sentencing state where the courts, if they sentence someone to prison, the court does not say they will serve 5 years or they will serve 10 years. They usually sentence to a range, 0 to 5, 1 to 15, 5 to life, like that. Every individual who's committed to prison, the board early on in the process will complete what's called time accounting. And that's looking for credit for time served. If your loved one was held in jail prior to sentencing, our case analysts review all that information, add that in the computer system. And what that does ultimately is set what your loved one's final expiration date is. So date their sentence. If it's a 5-year sentence, obviously there's 5 years from that date. If they're granted credit, it moves that initial date back by however many days that is, and the expiration date is adjusted as well. So our staff do that. Our staff also completes what are called guidelines, matrices. Those are terms you will hear. An important thing to remember, I think it's noted here at the bottom, most of your loved ones, if they're part of the court process, the pre-sentence report, adult probation and parole staff will do a matrix as well. That is for the court. We use the same matrix that comes from Utah sentencing guidelines, but we don't use that matrix from APNP. And there's a couple of reasons why. Many times when APNP is doing that matrix, it is for a specific case for a specific court. If an individual is committed to prison on several cases out of several different courts, they all get combined by the board and scored on a matrix that it takes in all of those into account. So that's the main reason why we don't use that matrix from APNP. Important to remember, the matrix, the guideline that the board comes up with, it's not binding on the board. The board can go below or above or at when they're making those release decisions. And I think there's another slide on this, but there are things that the board's going to be looking at and considering, and that through the hearing, gathering the information about things like prison behavior, what treatment and education programs has the individuals completed, their criminal history, victim impact, those kind of things. And it is important to remember, not every crime, not every commitment may have the same result. So, that's a pretty common call we may get to is, well, my loved one, someone had a similar crime and they got this release, but my loved one didn't. Chances are there may be some differences in there that the board saw in the information and factored into that release decision. Okay. Amanda, do you want to take over?
I'm so honored to take over. Okay. Getting to the original hearing, when somebody is first committed to prison from the court, we are given, the board has 6 months to determine when they want to see them. There's a lot of things that the board is looking at when they're making that decision. They're looking at what that minimum sentence that they were sentenced to is, what their sentencing guidelines are, what the rehabilitation needs are. So when your loved one first gets committed to prison, they'll have in the computer what is called a scheduling review date. And that's what that 6-month date is, for the board to have that time to decide when they want to see them. After that 6-month period, a tentative date with a month and a year will be placed in its place, with some expectations that the board has that they want the individual to complete prior to them seeing them for their hearing. Let me make sure I didn't get it. Okay, yep, so the original hearings are usually set 8 to 12 months prior to what a earliest possible release date is, or a guideline date that you'll hear us say multiple times today. But some things that your loved one can do to prepare for the original hearing is to complete all of the programming that the board has put in, as an expectation. Review the disclosure packet, also known as the blue packet. They will receive a copy of that 3 to 4 weeks prior to their scheduled hearing. And for supporters, at any time you can write the board, family support, friends, family, treatment centers. That doesn't have any time limit. You can do that as soon as you want. What happens when something is submitted, it gets uploaded to their permanent file and it is given to them at that disclosure or the blue packet period, 3 to 4 weeks before their hearing. One thing to know as you submit support letters, they're not, it doesn't trigger anything. You won't get a response, but what, you can rest assured that that will be uploaded to their permanent file, and the board will review that when it is time for their hearing, even it's several years away. What to expect at the original hearing. Some things to know, like this is a personal appearance from your loved one. These are open to the public. You're able to attend, if not in person, then virtually. There may be victim representation there if that they may speak, but family support doesn't speak, but you're able to submit letters prior to that hearing. Any information that is received by the board does get disclosed to them, and the individual will have an opportunity to speak at their hearing as well. Most hearings are scheduled for about 20 minutes, so there's not a lot of time. So we encourage them to write letters, because they can write, and that will also get uploaded to their board file. All hearings are in person at our Salt Lake facility. There are individuals that are in county jails or Gunnison. Those are streamed online. So as family, if your loved one's in the Salt Lake facility, that is open to the public. But most importantly, you're able to view those online at our website. The link to either facility, wherever they're at, is available online. So let's talk about what happens at the hearing. One thing important to remember is there's no decision that's made at that hearing. Usually a decision will take up to 6 weeks after the scheduled hearing to be put in the system. The board, there's several things that the board can do after that hearing. I'm trying to stick to my slides, but I'm like, I'm just better if I just kind of not. There's several things that the board can do at that hearing. So they can set a release date, they can set a rehearing if there's additional information. So it's really hard to give answers to like what's going to happen, because there's just so many different possibilities. But as family and supporters, know that your voice can be heard through letters that are submitted, and also your loved ones too. I encourage them to write things down so they are prepared when they go into those hearings, because it's really stressful not knowing what to expect, and sometimes things just leave your brain. So I encourage everybody to, let your loved ones know that they can write a letter prior to their hearing if they want the things documented, the accomplishments and things like that they've done. I think, another important thing to remember, if there are pending cases, there are different review types that would not trigger an in-person hearing, such as a paper review. Some of those reviews that you'll see as a tentative that are set are because there's pending charges or there's additional information that the board needs. So there's several hearings and several different pathways that people can go. But, as Brett mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, all of our staff is really helpful. to answer some of those general questions on where your loved ones are at in the system. Turning it back over to you.
So one of the things the board utilizes and reviews and the information is called structured decision-making. And basically that's it's a framework that considers evidence-based things to factor into those decisions that are made by the board. Some of those, again, I kind of touched on these earlier, the criminal history of the individual, self-control or institutional behavior, program completion and rehabilitation process and release planning. And then there are other policy related things that can come into play too, victim impact, statutory issues as in guidelines that we talked about, and community concerns. It's a framework that the board considers those things that help predict the success of the individuals and the risks that they may pose. So that's something that the board has used for a while. There are quite a few states that are doing it, and it's an important piece of that decision-making process. So as I mentioned earlier, there are several ways you can contact the board. I would encourage you all, if you have questions, both now, you can step out and we'll be at the table outside, and also in the future. As indicated above, you can email the board at that boputah.gov email. That comes into a centralized location, and then we distribute the emails from there to, like if you're asking a question about, whatever, we'll get it to the right person to answer, or Amanda or I will answer those. So that's an important way. Also, the phone number's there. And then again, if somebody has a particular question, I'm usually more than happy to give you my direct phone number, email address to be able to contact. I would encourage you, if you have questions, even if they come up later, feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to talk to you and try and answer your questions. Okay. With that, I think that's the end of our presentation. We'll turn it over to the next group. Thank you all.
My name is Lieutenant Jared Deal. I've been with the department about 15 years in a variety of different roles. Recently, I was with Property and Mail, but today I've recently moved to Culinary, but I'm happy to come here and help out. Kathy Trujillo, she has more knowledge and experience in her thumb with Property and Mail than I do in this entire body of mine. So did you want to do?
I'll just go over the Mel and then you can do property, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm better if I read, but I will try to make sure I'm very articulate here. Okay. So what are the rules when writing letters to inmates? So we have two ways that you can send letters to inmates at this particular time. So you can send physical mail from friends and family. It needs to be sent to Pigeonly. This is an off-site mailing processing center. I've had people ask questions. I'll hurry and say this quickly. Do I say Pigeonly? No, you don't. The mail will be photocopied and sent to either CUCF, which is Gunnison, or USCF, which is the Salt Lake Prison. The mail teams and housing officers will deliver the mail. So that's the first way you physically send mail to the address that we will provide. Then you can also go onto the Pigeonly website and you can send digital mail. So you're doing it all online. You can do pictures online, mail online. Digital mail can be sent to Pigeonly, who will print the message or picture to be delivered. What is the Pigeonly address I use to write an inmate? So there's two, and I'm not going to read them to you, but if you'd like to write them down, we'll give you a minute. One is for the Utah State Correctional Facility, which is in Salt Lake. If your inmate's in Salt Lake, which I assume they are, this is where, one thing I want to make sure I tell you though, you're going to say Utah State Correctional Facility. One of the things that we've come across, we've started this process January 6th. One of the things we've came across is this, they have unique code numbers. So where you see -1700, this is very important. If you don't put -1700, it will not, the Pigeonly will reject it. If you put -1701, it will go to Gunnison. This is the difference between, I don't even know if Pigeonly is paying a lot of attention to Utah State Correctional Facility or Central Utah. They're paying attention to that code. And I have people calling me quite a bit saying, my mail got rejected, and it was the physical mail that came back to them, which means it came back from Pigeonly. It's because they forgot to put the 1700 on there. So don't forget that. Then PO Box 96777, Las Vegas, Nevada. Your inmate is not in Vegas. They are at Salt Lake. This is a third-party company that we're sending our mail to now. Why does it take so long for mail to get to inmates? So your mail will be sent to Pigeonly to be processed. After processing, Pigeonly will mail the copies. They make a copy of the mail to USCF or CUCF post office boxes, which is picked up from the mailroom post office every workday. The mail has already been screened by mail staff, so we're going in the computer, we're checking the mail. Once they upload it, once they upload the mail, we go in and screen it. So when the mail comes to us, it's in a clean white envelope and has the inmate's name and it has the sender's name, and we look it up and we don't have to open it because we've already screened it. So it goes in pretty quickly. The QR code is scanned and distributed to inmates the day after it's received. So we pick up mail from the post office at about 10 o'clock. And if we get boxes of mail from Pigeonly, we are distributing that mail to go in the next day. Mail is processed and the order is received and usually goes to the inmate within 1 or 2 days after being received from the post office. Next questions, we have these often. Can inmates have pictures? Yes, they can. Inmates are allowed to have up to 25 photos in their possession. The photos cannot contain the picture of the inmate. So your inmate cannot be in the photo. Photos cannot be sexually explicit or show gang signs. This is outgoing mail. Why does it take so long for offenders' mail to reach their family members? So good news is outgoing mail should be really quite quick. We pick up the mail from the housing unit every day, and that mail goes to the post office that day. Outgoing mail is taken to the post office the same day it's picked up from housing units. If you have issues, you can check the Northwest Post Office if you think if there has been a delay, and that address is there. So this is the post office that the prison in Salt Lake uses, is the Northwest Post Office. You want to do property?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple of other things about mail and Pigeonly. Right, mail is vital. Mail is incredibly important to UDC, and we're dedicated to making sure that that freedom of, or that flow of communication happens. Right, visiting and phone calls, those are privileges. So those dials of frequency and opportunities can be dialed down. Whereas mail doesn't have that, and we want that for a reason, right? It's important to be able to communicate. Transitioning to a new third party, that does have some growing pains. We started this process January 6th, and so we are dedicated to working with Pigeonly to work through those concerns so that mail can continue to flow.
And it is flowing faster. It is coming. We're getting more boxes
Yeah.
of mail.
So if you guys have questions about that process, please come over and visit us, and we'll be here afterwards. For property, right? So this is really for property coming out. There's really limited, for a good reason, opportunities for property to come into a prison. This is for property maybe once your loved one came into prison for the first time, they had their wallet, their credit cards, their phone on them. What happens to that property? What happens when they buy some yarn and make a really nice crocheted blanket? How does that property go to where that inmate would like it to go? So this is what the property's kind of mission is to make sure that that property is accounted for and ends up in the place that it's supposed to end up. But step one, a lot of it is like, hey, I want to send out property. You'll hear inmates talk about that. I want to send out this TV, or I want to send out this hobbycraft item I made. One is it can be picked up by you. So in order for that to be picked up, we got to make sure that the inmate wants you to pick it up, right? I can't just go down to a prison and say, hey, give me all the property. that's sitting on the shelf for free. Right? We want to make sure that it's getting to the right person. So there's a disposition form that the inmate can fill out. Now, if they write anyone, well, then I guess anyone can come pick it up. But if they write your name, we're going to make sure that you're the one that picks it up. We're going to verify your ID. And so you can call the property unit up at USCF. The phone number is 801-522-7771. And down in Gunnison, it's 435-582-6470. And you can schedule an appointment to come pick it up. Don't just show up Sunday morning at 2 a.m., right? No one's going to be there. So they do have and we want to make sure that we're going to have staff available so you're not wasting your time, because sometimes these are quite a bit of a drive. That phone number for the USCF might change. We're working on having a dedicated line. Right now, that kind of goes to an office, and hopefully that staff member's there that day. But if they go on vacation, you just kind of hear the phone ring. So we're working on getting a dedicated line just for property pickup. Again, you can schedule that right now. They're available through Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And down in CUCF, it's 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Arrive at the pickup window for USCF. It's actually not even inside the prison. It's right before you go through the vehicle destination station, kind of that place with the big arm that drops down. You would just turn right, and there's property pickup, so you don't have to worry about going onto the property if you don't want to. Make sure you have a driver's license or state ID so we can make sure you are you. The appointments only last about 10 minutes, so they are 10-minute intervals. Just give us some time, and again, we'll try and be there preemptively, and that way we can make sure your time is valued. If you're going to be late, please let us know. And what can you send in, right? You can send them letters and pictures through Pigeonly, whether that's physical mail or digital mail online. And inmates can have up to 25 pictures in their possession. Now, you can send them 10 pictures at a time, but they can only have up to 25. Now, sometimes they might have a little bit more, but when it comes time for them to assign to a new housing unit or to transfer, there's going to be an audit done, and they'll be taken down to 25 photos. You can purchase magazine subscriptions for them. Magazines must come straight from the vendor distributor, right? You can't read it yourself and then say, oh, I think this would be great for my son to read, and mail it in. That has to come from the publisher. And then there are some other considerations, right? Magazines cannot be sexually explicit. Magazines cannot be heavily involved in gang culture. Other things like armory type weapons, magazines, or lockpicking guides, those magazines are not going to be allowed. Also pole vaulting, nope, no pole vaulting. Inmates must purchase their own books. So we do have 2 vendors that they can purchase books from. We are working on opening that up. But right now it's either Sure Shot or Ed Hamilton Bargain Books. And they have the forms in the unit on the tablets so that they can purchase that. But again, that money order must come from them. So if you want to try and gift them a book for Christmas, you would have to put that money on their books, and then they would order that book. Wedding rings, very common. People move on in their lives. They move forward. They are able to get married in prison, and they like to have a ring to symbolize that union. They can have rings sent in, but they must be smooth. They can't have lots of stones in them. They can't be green or red for gang reasons. And the value is whatever you choose to purchase it. But if it is lost and it's the prison's fault, we will replace, or we will reimburse up to $75 of the value of the ring. So we encourage, rings shouldn't be more than about that price. Glasses are accepted from a doctor's office or a vendor. Family and friends cannot send glasses directly to the inmate. Sunglasses are only accepted if there's a medical or an ADA kind of accommodation that's required. Lenses cannot be tinted. However, transition lenses can be accepted. And that's it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cherry, and I'm one of the financial managers over at Inmate Accounting, and I'm with the department for over 3.5 years now. So I'm here to share with you some information on how the Inmate Accounting Office handles and manages inmate funds, okay? So our office basically serves as a bank for the inmates. But since we're not an actual bank, once your loved ones are brought to prison, a bank account is established for them through inmate accounting with Science Bank. And any money in their possession when they first arrive at the prison, they're sent to inmate accounting and deposited into that bank account. Okay, so once an account has been established for your loved ones, they'll be able to receive additional funds. And inmates can receive funds through or from family and friends, that's you. Inmate payroll, inmates are highly encouraged to have a job, get a job while they're incarcerated, and they get paid monthly for that. They also receive funds from government agencies such as the IRS or the Treasury Department and the Department of Veteran Affairs. Some inmates also receive funds from the Native American tribes if they're a qualified member. So next is, how can family and friends send funds to inmates? So you have two options here. You can send the money money to a third-party company called Access Corrections, or you can send it directly to us in inmate accounting. So if you choose to send the money to Access Corrections, they have multiple options for you as well. Okay, so they accept money orders or checks through mail. However, please note that mail deposits take 1 week to process. Okay, so if you want your loved ones to receive their money faster, within 24 hours, you can choose from the other following options. Okay, so they do telephone. You'll be able to speak with a live bilingual agent when you call that number on the screen. You can do it through the web. So you can go to their website, accesscorrections.com, or you can download the Access Corrections app on your phones. And the fee for that, for the telephone and the web deposits, it's $6.95. Okay. We also have kiosks at both prisons, okay? So if you're visiting them and you want to send them money, you can use the kiosk. And the machine only takes cash or card payments, and the smallest bill it takes is the $5 bill. And the fee for that is $3.50 per transaction. Now, if you choose to send the money directly to us in inmate accounting, please note we only accept money orders or cashier's check. Remember to make those payable to the inmate, and on the money order and cashier's check, put the inmate number as well as the sender's name and address, and that should match the sender's name and address on the envelope as well. So you have that on that screen. And to avoid any delays or loss of funds, please do not send anything to USCF, CUCF, or to Pigeon Lee in Vegas. Only send your money orders or cashier's check to inmate accounting or Access Corrections. Okay? So now, are you curious about how and where your loved ones will spend that money that you just sent them? So they usually spend them on commissary. Inmates are allowed to make purchases from commissary once a week. Available items for purchase include notebooks, pens, snacks, personal hygiene products, and other similar items. Inmates are also allowed to transfer funds from their inmate account to their phone account to make personal phone calls. And the maximum amount that they're allowed to transfer at one time is $25. Once that amount is depleted, they may transfer more money to that phone account, and they can do that multiple times a day as long as they have available funds in their inmate account. Inmates also like to send money outside the prison. And how do they do that? They submit money transfer request forms to inmate accounting, and upon receipt of those money transfers, we withdraw the money from their inmate account and send a check to the designated recipient. Allowable transfers or purchases typically include items such as books, magazines, music, and sometimes they like to send gifts or financial support to family and friends as well. Now, inmate fees and other costs. While incarcerated, your loved ones are provided with essential items such as housing, food, and basic hygiene products at no cost. However, they may incur additional fees and expenses during their incarceration, and that they will be responsible to pay for. And these fees include the following: medical charges. Inmate accounting receive medical charges from the Department of Health and Human Services for various medical services and supplies provided to your loved ones. So this include the $2 copay for their prescription meds, the $5 copay for doctor visits, and miscellaneous medical items such as insoles, compression socks, knee sleeves, wrist braces, canes, walkers, and wheelchairs. They also get charged for IDHO fines and restitution. IDHO just stands for Inmate Disciplinary Hearing Officer. So inmate accounting receives a weekly report from the IDHO office, which details inmates' fines and restitution due to misbehavior, drug use, or failure to obey direct orders. Transportation. Inmates are responsible to pay $63 in transportation fee to appear in court and attend their court hearings. So please note that when your incarcerated loved ones incur expenses such as medical fees, IDHO fines and restitution, and transportation, inmate accounting will take up to 60% of the inmate's current balance, as well as 60% of any incoming funds until all these obligations are fully paid. However, once their account balance reaches $15, inmate accounting will stop taking money from their account. So other costs, expenses, fees that your loved one may incur while they're incarcerated are ORS garnishment or lien levy for child support. So if an inmate is ordered to pay child support through the Office of Recovery Services, inmate accounting sets up the garnishment to ensure timely withholding. The only difference between these two, with garnishment, inmate accounting will take up to 50% from inmates' payroll only. So that's every month. As for lien levy, inmate accounting will take everything except $5 for a period of 60 days. Next is filing fees. Inmate accounting follows the instructions received from the court to collect the filing fees from inmates until they are paid in full. The court usually orders to garnish up to 20% of an inmate's payroll every month as well. Lastly, tuition fees. Inmates sign promissory notes when they enroll in classes and courses provided by the programming department. These notes are then sent over to inmate accounting and are recorded as debts in the inmate's account, and they have 2 years after they discharge to pay for them. Otherwise, they get sent to debt collections. Okay, any future questions about your loved one's finances, please contact our team at 801-545-5662, or you can email us at udcoffenderaccounting@utah.gov. That's it. And don't forget to visit our table on your way out for some flyers. Thank you.
My name's Roger McFarland. I'm one of the assistant directors of nursing out at the prison at the USCF facility. I've been there for 20 years. Started out as an EMT and went to school, became a nurse, stuck around, trying to help change lives and help everybody with their medical problems. At Clinical Health Services, we are part of Department of Health and Human Services now. Out there at the prison, the CHS brand, it encompasses medical, dental, mental health, and optometry. And so that covers all the medical needs. We have several PAs out there, a couple of doctors at the USCF Salt Lake site. Daily, I have at least 12 EMTs and nurses that take care of their needs, that see the inmates daily, take care of getting their medications to them, dressing changes, things like that. They also have a full dental cohort out there, facilities in every one of the buildings where they can get seen for their dental needs. They do a very good job over there. And then mental health, we have several providers there, therapists and everything to take care of those needs as well. And then optometry, we do have an optometrist that comes out, takes care of the eye care. He's the one that says if they can have sunglasses or not. We can get them prescription glasses. They can get a prescription, and then you can have them send in from the vendor, whoever you want to get those from. It just can't come straight from you. If your offender needs to be seen for something that's non-emergent, then we ask that they submit a healthcare request. We call them an HCR. And that's how they get an appointment to see the doctor, the optometrist, mental health, or whatever. They put that in, it gets triaged, and then that's how it gets an appointment, and then they get to see the provider for that. If you call and say, hey, my loved one is having this health problem and hasn't been seen, the first thing that they're going to ask you is have they put in a healthcare request, because that's how you get seen. Our nursing staff is there to take care of emergencies 24/7. We have people there all night. We have people there all day, weekends. Nursing never stops. It's the one health profession that has to happen every day. Medications have to go out every day. So we're there. The website is up there, dhhsutah.gov/CHS for clinical health services. Some questions that are generally asked, and then if you have questions afterwards about your inmate, then you can come up and see me at the table. But one, how do I get access to my incarcerated loved ones' medical records while they're in the UDC facility? Okay, once they come in, they can complete a grammar request. They can request to have their medical records. Unless they're indigent, then they also have to provide a blank money transfer. It covers the cost. The cost is 25 cents for a double-sided page. The records will be sent to the family that's indicated on the request, and the offender pays for that. The answer number 2 to that question is the family can submit a records request using the system GovQA. And the person that does that has to have a power of attorney for the offender, or the offender has signed an authorization form. And then the records come to you, and there's no fee for the family members. So that's the 2 ways that you can get their records request. What do I do if I think my loved one was involved in a safety incident? So if there was something that happened and they left the facility, said they went to the hospital or whatever, when everything's safe and they're done, you will get a phone call from one of the nursing administration letting you know that something happened. We won't call you while they're at the hospital because we don't want you rushing up there to see them. You can't see them anyway. It just causes problems. But we'll let you know that something happened, and as soon as they can, they will call you and be able to talk to you. So if something happens, we'll let you know. Excuse me. But that'll only happen if they have signed for someone to be the responsible individual. Release of information. They can only release information to one person, and we will call that one person. If they haven't signed for a release of information person, we're not going to call. So that has to happen. And they can get that information and that documentation from their caseworker. Okay. Another medical question is, what information will I have access to with a signed medical information release form? You can get all of their medical and dental records, but you won't get, like, if they're in a program for substance abuse, or you won't be able to get any of their mental health records. But the other ones you can get access to. Last question, how do I learn more about my loved one's medical condition? Okay, when they came in, they were offered a limited power of attorney, so somebody for the release of information. That one designee, they can only designate one person, and that one person can get information. You can call the family line, and they will make sure that it's you on the line, and they'll give you the information that you request. The people that answer that phone are very helpful. They'll do everything they can to get you the information that you need. But they can only help you with the medical information, so don't call them and tell them you're having trouble with the mail or something else, because they don't have anything to do with that. They just work with clinical health services, so only medical information there. Other than that, so anything else that I can help you with, I'm happy to sit at the table, and you can come up and ask me afterwards. But I want you to know that my staff's very dedicated in making sure that their health needs are met. We don't judge them on why they're here. They're humans to us, and we're here to take care of their medical needs. Thank you.
Hello, I am Kristen Fossen. I have been here at the state for 10 years next month, doing inmate phones. And you guys are our customers. We're why we're here. The first thing, how do I get a call from my loved one? Offenders, when they get to the facility, will be instructed how to do this, but they will be given a form that they have to fill out with their inmate name, their number, their cell number, and then they have to include the phone number, the first and last name, and the relationship to them on this form. It will then go to in-house mail. The mail department will get it, sort it, I get it, I input it in the computer, I let them know it was approved, and it will go right back to the inmate. Sometimes if you know your inmate's been there for a while, or they've submitted a family member's name and they're not getting it, some things go wrong. Sometimes inmates don't put their own name on their papers or their account number, and I would just encourage you to resend it. It takes sometimes around 2 weeks to get this from me back to the inmate, but once I get it, it's in, and if the inmate still doesn't have their paper back, they can still contact the number once it's been entered. While the inmate is getting their number approved, the family members can set up an account with the advanced pay with inmate accounting. They talked about that, or you can go to Connect Network. Is that my next slide? Yeah, we're going to the next slide. You can go to connectnetwork.com and set up a prepaid phone account. So when the inmate picks up the phone to make a phone call, they will hear prompts asking them if they want to make a debit call. That would be money that they've put from commissary onto their own account, or to press the correct button to make a prepaid collect call, and that would be the number they pressed if you have money on your prepaid account with Connect Network. To sign, you can set up that really easily on that website. There's phone numbers that are really important up there. You want to take a picture of that or write them down. I'm good for the next slide. Can I call an inmate? Unfortunately, we can't. Inmates can only call out. In the event of an emergency, you may reach out to the prison. You can call the operator. Sometimes they're able to get a hold of the case managers or whoever needs to be alerted to an emergency going on with the family. There is no three-way calls. So if the offender calls you, you cannot call let me add a call and call in grandma, or if the phone hears that, it's supposed to hang up. If it does get past that and someone else discovers it, the inmate will be put on suspension and your phone number will be put on suspension. How much does a call cost? Local calls are 10 cents per minute and long distance calls are 19 cents per minute. I get some family members calling. This is common every once in a while. This happens more often than not, that the inmate has a phone number approved. It's saying it's approved. They're trying to call, but you never get a phone call. You never have any missed calls on your phone. What I would tell you to do is to call your cell phone provider and to take off the global spam blocker. The companies have put this on as a courtesy, so you don't get very many telemarketer calls on your cell phone. But what it does prevent is calls coming from the facility because it looks like it's from like a rotary system. It all comes out on one number. So that will like flag some of the things. So I included the numbers up there that will show up on your caller ID when a call comes from the facility. If you put those in your phone as like John, my son John is calling. Anyway, then you'll know who's calling and it will be coming from the facility. So if they're not going through and you know that they've been approved, that's the first thing I would do. I've shortened it this time, so it was shorter than last time. If you guys have any questions, come to me at the end. Thank you.
All right, folks. Hi, thanks for coming out tonight. I'm Sergeant Strong with Visitation. I'm probably one of the people you've really been waiting to hear from. So I'll get to it. I do see a couple of familiar faces. Some of you have already been to visiting. I'll just get right at it. This is my first time, so you'll probably hear a couple of ums and a couple of and a few of those. So I'll try to keep it light and airy and try to move right through this because we're kind of moving long in time. So visitation, it's the one thing you guys are looking forward to, getting to be able to come out and see your family members. So start right off. How do I apply to visit my loved ones? So you're going to want to learn this website, corrections.utah.gov. It's one of the most important websites that you'll visit and want to become very familiar with. So it'll become your friend. You're going to bookmark it and you're going to visit probably daily, unfortunately. So it's all listed right here. Family and friends, visitation information. Luckily, they finally got around to updating it and it's very user-friendly now. It's going to go step by step. Please just read right through it. Follow right along. Click all the drop-down menus, read the rules, read the instructions, and go along. We'll click right on into going into, so you may submit. You'll go along and find the application. You'll click into the application. The yellow spots are highlighted. These are the, absolutely make sure you touch up on these. A couple of very important things you want to make sure that you do is note that it's two-sided or 2 pages. One of the things I did skip, sorry, I ramble. There is an online application that you can fill out if you don't have the ability to print. So, and you can download your identification online and other documents that you need to. Sorry. If you're able to print or not, you do need to make sure that you sign and date the document and make sure that you answer the questions on the back, on the second page, the top half of the page. That's one of the most most forgotten things, and it will reject your application or get it sent back to you and delay the application process. The next slide, how long until my loved one can have visits? So we have started a process for those in RNO, which is receiving an orientation, that when the offenders come in within the first month of them arriving, they're going to be able to start having video visits. So as soon as you guys can get your applications approved, you'll be allowed to have one video visit a month with them while they're in RNO. And then once they move out to population, then they will start having privilege level visitation privileges. And you can follow along and see the number of visits per month based on their privilege levels. And this is all online. Okay? And if you're having any questions about this, please don't hesitate to reach out to us in visiting. We have people answering the phones every day. Okay? The next one is how to apply to have minors visit with either through grandparents taking care of minors or others. There's spots on the applications to include the minors. We do absolutely have to have a copy of the minor's birth certificates with the application. If the offender you're visiting has sexual crimes, the process is much more stringent, and there's several other areas of approvals that they have to go through. The application has to go through, including SOTP or the sex offender treatment therapists and stuff. And also the visiting requires notarized letters from parents, mothers and fathers that are not visiting with those minors if they're not incarcerated, if they're going to come with others. And if you have questions about those, please reach out to the visiting team through phone calls or emails, and we're really more than welcome, more than happy to answer those questions for you. And then how do I submit a visit request? Visit requests, you'll need to visit, again, the website, corrections.utah.gov, family and friends, visitation information, follow the steps. The links shows you our calendars. As you move past the application process and move on down the page, it shows you the calendars that show the visiting schedules and dates and times for all the different housing units. And then you'll click and it shows you you'll be directed how to fill out a Google form, which will appear at the end of the review. If you entered all your information correctly, you'll receive an approved or denied email from us. And these requests will be reviewed within 1 to 3 days. And then all requests must be submitted at least 48 hours in advance of the visit dates that you're looking for. Okay. Moving on, how do you make a video call or video visit? On the day of your scheduled visit, you'll need to go to the website thrive.connectedcorrections.com. On the homepage, you'll see a spot for your username and password with the credentials you were provided when you'll enter your information into these fields. 15 minutes prior to the visit starts, you'll want to log in and avoid technical difficulties. Video visits run for 30 minutes. They're built on an internal timer of the system, and the visit ends automatically. You're going to be allowed to have, as I've changed a couple of these from what my paper says. So you may add as many approved visitors to your video visit as you would like once the original video visit is approved through emailing us. and having that changed. Okay? Then I'll quickly go through some of the rules for when you're having an in-person visit, right? So we're asking visitors to arrive 30 minutes early for your visit. This gives us time to get you checked in and through the screening process and to get the offenders down for their visits on time. Visitors who arrive after the 30-minute mark may have to wait until the next movement time, which is 15 minutes after the session starts. You will go through a screening process where you remove all the items from your pockets and jackets, or from your pockets, your jackets and your shoes, and place them in a bin where they go through an X-ray machine. All electronic devices or wallets and purses must be left in your car or in the lockers that we provide, and we now provide locks for those lockers. Okay. On the website, like I've spoken about before, are some visiting rules that we want you to make sure you're paying specific attention to and reading, please. Here are some highlighted, frequently missed or not followed rules that we have had to turn people away for. So clothing standards is a big issue for us. It's important that you review all of the clothing standards on the corrections website prior to coming. Common clothing items that you will need that will not be permitted include any clothing with hoods, so tank tops or sleeveless tops, jeans or pants with tears or slits above the knees, yoga style pants or leggings, open-toed footwear of any kind, sandals, flip-flops, etc. Low-cut shirts, and then I added some others. So I wanted to point out shorts, skirts, and dresses must reach down to the knees. Anything shorter than that will be turned away. Failure to abide by the clothing standards will result in not being allowed inside the facility for in-person visits or having the video feed terminated. So during the video visits, we are requesting that you wear the same clothing attire as if you were at an in-person visit. When arriving for an in-person visit, please be aware of the following visiting rules. Visitors are not permitted to have physical contact with the offenders during the visit. Visitors may not share drinks with the offenders they are visiting. You may not bring anything into the offenders, paperwork, glasses, medical supplies, etc. Visitors may share a brief hug and a kiss with the offender they are visiting. Open mouth kissing, excessive, extended, or lingering hugs are not permitted and will result in a suspension. Okay, and I will be sitting around at the tables for any questions. I'm sure you'll have plenty for me. Thanks, everybody.
How are you doing, everybody? I'm Captain Josh Ma. I've been with this department since July of 2003. I'm over the inmate placement program. So some of you may have heard of that, maybe not. I understand why, if my loved one was sentenced to prison, why they're sending him back to a county jail. So just for different reasons. A lot of other states build lots of prisons throughout their state. We don't do that. We have 2. So we contract with our county sheriffs in their jails. So it saves the taxpayers money. So we're not building billion-dollar facilities all over the place. It also helps with the ratios of our bed space. And so that's kind of why you may see that if your loved one is moved to a county jail. So we contract with 20 different jails of the 29 counties in the state. We house probably in the range of about 1,600 people throughout our jail system. So we're just a little bit shy of what the Gunnison prison holds throughout the state. But some of the jails hold as little as 10, and some of our largest one will go up to 360. So kind of all over the place that way. So a little bit different ratios. It can create different, potentially safer environments because there's not quite we avoid overcrowding, things like that. And a lot of the same programs that are offered in the prisons we have in the jails as well. So we have substance abuse treatment programs, we have sex offender treatment programs, we have high school, we have college, we have vocational trades, a lot of different opportunities out there. We hold a substance abuse treatment class for former gang members in one of our county jails. So a lot of different things are happening out there. They have a state case manager assigned to every jail who's going to be there when they arrive to greet them and kind of let them know this is I'm your contact here, even though you're in a county jail. There's still that state case manager who's based in that community, who lives there, who goes to that jail every day. So they're there. And then minimally after that kind of initial, they're still going to visit with them at any time they need. But whether they want to be seen or not, they're still going to be visited every 90 days beyond that. So they can still be seen potentially every day they're there if they need, but every 90 days we're going to be checking them to make sure everything's still going okay. And then with that, they still have access to the same correctional health care system. The state providers are still going to go out to these county jails, visit with them if they have any medical concerns, mental health concerns, things like that. That's all going to happen there. I think that's pretty, I don't think there's really a lot I've got left there. I had just a couple, make sure I got all my bullet points. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. So like I said, I'll be at the table there with the IPP/county jails. If you got any questions, happy to take those. Yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Case Manager Hooley. I am one of the case managers in our Dell Housing Unit. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for being here. The support that you are showing for your loved one is extremely important for their success. And we recognize that, and I believe I can speak for every one of us here, that we recognize how important you are, and thank you for being here and for supporting your loved one. Coming to prison can be very scary and a very tough situation, not just for your loved one, but for you as well. And with that in mind, I kind of want to take you through the first couple months of what your loved one is going through. On the first day they get there, they're screened. They're seen by medical, they're seen by dental, and they're seen by a case manager to receive some assessments. Then they are taken to a unit, which is our receiving and orientation unit. They will stay there until they're classified. That classification can take some time because we are waiting for certain information for that. So be patient while they are in that unit. Their phone calls are very limited to approximately about 130 minutes per month. So be patient if you do not get them. I just want to make you guys aware of that. As far as case management, once they are assigned a case manager, our job is to see them within the first week, 2 weeks. We want to make sure that we recognize and that we're there for them. As far as what we do, we spend a lot of time with your loved ones, helping them develop a case action plan. We help them develop a release plan and a discharge plan from day one when they get there. We have some new things coming in where we're helping with the release plan. They're given a release plan questionnaire. We want to see them find out what are they going to do different if they're coming back on a parole violation. What are they going to do different this time when they're released? And we want to help them development. If they are required to get treatment, we will help them get that treatment with our community providers. We also spend a lot of time collaborating within our own department and with other divisions, especially when it comes to developing that case action plan for them. So we're helping them develop and get into the right proper educational classes, the right treatment, help them get things that are going to help them make some intrinsic changes in their lives so that they will be successful, because our goal as case managers is hopefully to never see them come back. And we want to try to really do that. We can't do that without your support too. And so with that, just know that you are able to contact us as their case managers. Every one of our email addresses is available on the website. You can get a hold of us that way. And we are just understand that we are only able to give you certain information. Don't be upset if we say we can't give you that information. We would encourage you, if we can't give you that information, to talk to your loved ones and ask them. They can share a lot more than we can on some situations. So just recognize that, but we are there to be there. We serve as the liaison for them, between them and the Board of Pardons. We do all their assessments, their classification assessments, their LSR&R, which their case action plan is completely developed around, that identifies risks, how they responded to treatment, what some of the needs that they have that we can help develop with that case action plan. I do kind of want to walk through with you what an ideal stay at the prison would be like for your loved ones. Now, this is really very imperative and important that we recognize that we can only do so much as a department and as case managers. A lot of this is based on your loved ones and their behavior and that. But we have a short video here to show you what the ideal stay does look like.
As I leave this place, I think back on my time here at the Utah State Prison.
It's a time for many of us when we were at our lowest in life.
Reentry began in all-night care. I was processed, assessed, and ultimately given programs to aid in my rehabilitation.
Caseworkers, medical professionals, and corrections officers helped me to understand my shortcomings.
Life skills, emotional management, and ways to defeat my addictions were all tools that aided me in becoming a better father, son, friend, and community member.
Like others within this facility, I was offered educational opportunities.
A high school diploma, an associate's or bachelor's degree, or a vocational degree in auto mechanics, culinary arts, or even welding.
I developed marketable skills while working in fields such as manufacturing, data entry, and digital design.
As time passed and my release approached, I met with a reentry team.
They eased some of the stress and fear I have about reentering the community.
They took the time to identify resources such as government agencies that can help me access healthcare, housing, and job placement.
They helped me practice my interviewing skills, build my resume, and even identified a career that fits me and who I am. I may start my release at a community correctional center.
Or I'll release on parole supervision, where agents ensure that I have the resources and support I need.
In addition, I will follow a case action plan that may include educational classes, home visits, and meetings at a treatment resource center.
As part of the reentry stability process, I will rely on my friends and family in ways that may never have happened before.
I will need them to be supportive without enabling me to relapse into old ways that led me here in the first place.
Thanks to the opportunities I received, I leave this facility today,
never planning to return.
So that is our goal, is to help people make sure that they never return. Just remember that we are here as their case managers to help support your loved ones and to help them get ready for release. The department is doing a lot of really good things to help people be successful upon release. Not only do they have a case manager here, but one of the new programs is for the first 120 days as needed, they will also receive a case manager on the outside to help them be successful in that. Again, you're able to talk to us. If you have any questions, I'll be up here at the table. Feel free to come by and talk to me. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. I'm Captain Barrett. I have been with the department for about 21 years, just over 21 years. Recently moved into volunteer and religious services. It's a great area. We have, I looked at the slide today, we got about 25, just over 25 religious different groups that come out. But then we also have about 30 plus different other groups outside of that too. So a lot of our volunteer work it's really big. Like when you look at it, right? Like we have volunteers that are with them from the very beginning when people show up, and they're there with them all the way through. And we even have people in the community upon release, even getting them to different locations on that release day. So our volunteer force is a very, very unique force. As you can see on the slide here, it says like 500 plus right here in Salt Lake, but we also have about 60 plus volunteers that are engaged with the institution down in our central facility as well. When you look at that big population, these individuals are spending a lot of time. Like I see their classes constantly full, doing different things, and we look at three major things, right? We're looking at helping them with their satisfying their religious needs too. We have a lot of religious groups that are out here providing religious services, but then we're also helping them with their reentry, also providing productive time things, keeping them busy, giving them something to do. They provide a very, very large support of pro-social interactions. So whether they're in doing just being in the areas where services happen, kind of puts them in the right environment to start learning and start doing different things. And that gets them into some of our other classes that also help, as the case managers talked about earlier, finding those different classes. They're a very big support to help get them motivated to participate in those classes. And so these relationships that they're building from the beginning all the way up to the time that they leave is and continuing in the community. And so that's only a very small thing of what our volunteer services do, but we do also provide the religious aspect as well. We have chaplains that go around and meet with everybody on a daily basis, both up here and in our central facility. I've got caseworker that also help kind of mentor the volunteers and get them in and give them the support on getting people into their programs and getting them active in those different things. And so I will be over here. So if you have any questions in regards to religious or volunteer services, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. But thanks for coming.
Okay, I'll leave you with I'm the education person, so of course I have a lot of energy. I taught for 9 years, worked in administration in Idaho. My name is Kenzie Jones. I have been with the department for almost 5 months, so not super long. Part of our job at UDC is to rehabilitate, obviously. Education leads to better opportunities and reduces recidivism significantly. Just having a diploma makes an individual twice as likely to stay out of prison, and a job certification makes them 3 times as likely to stay out of prison. So the more that your loved one or whoever you are here supporting learns, the better chance that they have. So some of the things that we have in both locations, and I will tell you which places. Gunnison offers some different things than Salt Lake and vice versa, but everywhere has adult education, high school, diploma, GED, even our county facilities where we might put a prisoner, but at a county level. ESL, so English as a second language, literacy, and then college and career readiness. And some of the specific education programs that we offer, we do have some higher education opportunities like associate's degrees from SLIC, Salt Lake City Community College, Snow College, We're working on something with UPEP and then Ensign College, which is in a way BYU, just a different piece of that college. And we do have some courses offered by USU, but no actual degree. And then in terms of technical training, we have Davis Technical College is our main VOTech program on campus. In Salt Lake, we do building, welding, culinary arts, graphic design, IT. I know that that's just a few of them. There are more than that. And at CUCF right now, we work with Snow College down there, and we have building trades and culinary arts. And the last thing is we also offer life skills classes, which at times can be contingent depending on your loved ones completing a class and being able to release early or not. So the core classes that we have are Thinking for a Change, Anger Management, Victim Impact, and then MRT, which is Moral Recognition Therapy. And then these are just a list of the life skills. We have lots of parenting classes, self-esteem classes, communication classes, just change motivation in general. So thanks. I'll be over at the table by the door if you have any questions for me.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Online people, thank you for attending as well. We really enjoy you guys being here, so thank you for coming. Thanks for supporting your loved ones too, and please use this as resources you want and need. Reach out to us for whatever you have questions about. Please feel free to go around the tables and ask your questions. The people sitting at the tables are the experts, so please ask them. And then if you want to scan the QR code, you're welcome to ask questions on there, and a Department of Corrections employee will get back to you probably, well, starting tomorrow. We don't have anybody right this second, but we'll start getting back to your questions tomorrow. And if you have feedback, please submit it on there as well. So thank you guys. And please get cookies, water, walk around.